Old quarter dollar value. Unlock the hidden secrets of the 1965 Washington quarter. Discover its history, its value, and why this simple coin could change the way you look at your pocket change forever. The story of the 1965 Washington quarter is not just about a coin. It is about a turning point in the history of American money. It is about politics, economics, silver shortages, public trust, and the transformation of the United States Mint. This single year marked one of the most important transitions in American coinage history, and the 1965 Washington quarter stands as a symbol of change that affected collectors and the general public alike. To understand why the 1965 quarter matters so much, we first have to look at the years leading up to it. In the early 1960s, the United States faced a critical problem. Silver was in short supply. The nation had been minting coins with silver for decades. The dimes, quarters, and half dollars all contained 90% silver and 10% copper. This had been the standard since the late 19th century. For many years this system worked, but as silver became more valuable due to industrial use and global demand, the cost of minting coins with 90% silver started to outweigh their face value. This meant the government was spending more on producing coins than the coins were worth in circulation. At the same time, coin collecting had exploded in popularity. During the early 1960s, collectors were hoarding coins, searching bank rolls for rare dates and mint marks, and removing silver coins from circulation. People realized that the silver content alone was valuable, and so millions of coins began disappearing from circulation almost overnight. This caused a serious shortage of small change across the nation. Vending machines, parking meters, laundromats, and daily transactions all depended on coins, but the public was hoarding them faster than the mint could produce replacements. President Lyndon B Johnson took notice of the crisis, and on July 23, 1965, he signed the Coinage Act of 1965. This law changed the face of American coinage forever. The act eliminated silver from quarters and dimes, and reduced the silver content of half dollars from 90% to 40%. This was a dramatic move, but it was necessary to keep coins circulating. The government introduced what is called a clad composition instead of silver. The 1965 quarter was made from a copper-nickel alloy. The outer layers were 75% copper and 25% nickel, while the inner core was pure copper. This gave the coin a silvery look but removed precious silver entirely from its composition. The Washington quarter design itself, however, remained unchanged. John Flanagan's portrait of George Washington, first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth, continued to appear on the obverse. The reverse still showed the bold heraldic eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows and framed by olive branches. While the appearance of the coin looked familiar, what was inside had changed forever. The transition from silver to clad coins did not happen smoothly. The mint faced massive challenges in producing the new copper-nickel quarters while still trying to meet the overwhelming demand for coins in circulation. To avoid confusion and shortages, the mint decided to freeze the use of mint marks for a few years starting in 1965. This meant that all quarters struck in 1965, 1966, and 1967 carried no mint mark, whether they were produced in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. As a result, it is impossible to tell which mint struck a given 1965 quarter. This was a bold move, but it helped prevent collectors from hoarding newly minted coins based on mint marks alone. The public reaction was mixed. Some people welcomed the new coins while others disliked them and accused the government of debasing the currency. Rumors spread that the copper-nickel quarters were inferior and would not last long in circulation. However, the mint assured the public that the new coins were durable and more resistant to wear and tear than their silver predecessors. In time, the clad coins proved to be reliable, and they remain in use to this day. The 1965 Washington quarter marked the beginning of modern clad coinage, and today it represents a major milestone for collectors and historians. Most 1965 quarters in circulation are common and hold little value beyond their face value. Since billions were produced, However, special varieties and errors from this year can be quite valuable. One of the most famous is the 1965 quarter struck on a silver planchet during the transition from silver to clad. Some silver planchets left over from 1964 were accidentally fed into presses and struck with the 1965 date. These transitional errors are extremely rare and valuable to collectors, sometimes selling for thousands of dollars at auctions. To truly appreciate the 1965 quarter, one must look deeper into the historical context of the mid-1960s. This was a decade of immense change in the United States, socially, politically, and economically. The switch from silver to clad coinage reflected broader changes in American life. It was about adapting to economic realities. It was about modernization and efficiency. It was about the government making bold decisions to stabilize the financial system and keep everyday commerce running smoothly. The 1965 quarter is more than a coin. It is a piece of this story. For collectors today, the 1965 Washington quarter is fascinating. Not because it is rare in ordinary form, but because it represents a threshold between the old and the new. It was the first quarter of the clad era. It marked the end of silver circulating coinage, and it set the stage for how American coins would be made for decades to come. Collectors often seek pristine examples in mint state condition, or proof-like strikes. Even though proofs were not officially made in 1965, some special mint sets contained coins with proof-like qualities, making them desirable among enthusiasts. The design of the quarter remained until 1999, when the 50-state quarters program began. But the legacy of the 1965 issue is still felt today. Many numismatists look at it as the start of a new chapter in coinage history, when intrinsic metal value no longer defined the worth of circulating coins. Instead, it was trust in the government and the monetary system that gave coins their value. This shift has had lasting effects, as coins since then have largely been made from base metals, not precious ones. From every angle, the 1965 Washington quarter is a symbol of change. It is the coin that closed one era and opened another for 2 centuries. American coinage had relied heavily on silver and gold, but after 1965, the nation turned to modern alloys and mass production methods. The story of this coin involves economics, national policy, industrial demand, public reaction, and numismatic treasures. Hidden in the details, it teaches us about value, about trust, and about how small objects like coins can reflect massive national decisions. Collectors and historians alike continue to study the 1965 quarter, not for its scarcity, but for its significance. Every coin has a story, and this one tells a story of transition, crisis management, and adaptation. If you hold a 1965 quarter today, you are holding not just a coin, but a piece of history that represents a turning point in American money. A coin that millions saw as ordinary, but that numismatists now recognize as extraordinary because of what it stands for, and because of the rare hidden gems like the silver planchet errors that make it a treasure worth hunting for.